Morning. Hello, hello, hello. Today I want to think about stories. How do you get your message across? You know how stories are so powerful. It's well known that if you tell a story, you kind of get in under the subconscious. You know, the bullshit meter doesn't go, oh, hang on a minute, I know what this is about. And you can make some serious points far more easily and more effectively if you tell a beautiful story. So I've been reflecting on that this week, particularly around the internal scripts. As you know, that's what I'm very much focused on. And I was thinking about the first time I heard that story of the Native American grandfather telling his grandson, who was in trouble, about the two wolves. Now, I'm pretty certain if you're watching this, you probably know the story. You know, the one that there's the good wolf and the bad wolf. One of them is in charge of his good behavior. One of them is in charge of his bad behavior. And the little boy says to his granddad, well, which one wins? And granddad says, whichever one you feed. Now, I got the point, but it didn't really relate to me. It didn't resonate with me. You see, the only time I'd ever seen a wolf living in the UK was behind a chain link fence in a wildlife park or on one of those TV programs, you know, the natural history TV programs. It didn't mean anything to me. I didn't understand the power of that metaphor of a wolf because I'd never seen one other than at a very long distance and didn't understand the ramifications of coming close up to a wolf. So I've been having fun with that this last few days and thinking, how can I bring together a story that still talks about those internal scripts and whatever we listen to, whatever we tell ourselves is what we think, is our reality. Now, those internal scripts can be empowering or disempowering, which is why I don't call them limiting beliefs, because they're not always limiting. Sometimes they are actually positive. When you go, me. Point I'm making here is when you are telling a story to illustrate your point. Les Brown wonderfully said once, never tell a story without a point and never give a point without a story. So when you're preparing your talk, have those stories to hand, but also make them relevant to your audience. So as I said, I've been having some fun with this. Now, growing up in the UK, wolves meant nothing to me. However, I grew up with Enid Blyton, Famous Five and Secret Seven and all of those wonderful, very English middle class books. I thought about using those, but that doesn't translate to an international audience. Okay. I know Winnie the Pooh. Now, that again is a very British tale. However, thanks to Disney, it's been brought to the rest of the world. So I'm going to have some fun over the next few weeks exploring with you the 7 main characters in Winnie the Pooh, some of the things they tell themselves, those internal scripts, and how, if that's something that you can relate to, how Christopher Robin sat down with them and went, do you know what? Try thinking about it this way. Give yourself this script. Flip the script. So, are you up for a bit of fun? Let's look at the main character, Winnie the Pooh. Now, when you think of Winnie the Pooh, what do you think of? Now, you might think of the E.H. Shepard illustration, you know, the line drawing illustration, or you may think of Disney's version. Either way, the book describes and the film describes Winnie the Pooh telling himself, I'm a bear of very little brain. He introduces himself like that. So this is a little script he's running. I'm not intelligent. I'm thick. I'm dense. I don't know what I'm talking about. I find it hard to think. Well, yes, he did. And he felt his way to the solutions. So he might not have been brilliant at the thinky bit, but he was great at the feely bit. So think about things he might be telling himself. People won't understand me. If he was giving a talk, people won't understand me. I'm not good at explaining what I mean, but I'm a bear of little brain after all. He's defining himself by his own limitations. So can you imagine that Winnie the Pooh would get talking to people? He may well do a podcast. He may well do a one-on-one. He might be persuaded to talk to 2 or 3 people. Maybe even a small networking meeting, but he wouldn't go any bigger than that because he is so aware and reinforces his limitations. On that front, guys, if you don't know Les Brown's story, go check it out. Les was told he was the dumb twin. He had some issues with learning, and therefore he thought of himself as dumb, and therefore he couldn't succeed in life. Hello, I don't know where his other twin is, but Les is meteoric, and he is an incredibly good communicator. So, does that one wash? No. So, people won't understand me. I'm not good at explaining what I mean. I'm a bear of very little brain. Now picture this. Christopher Robin sitting down with Pooh on the log and going, try this one on. Let's put that script to one side for a minute and try this one. I can work on getting better at explaining. It's a skill, and we all have to start somewhere. I can get feedback from my audience about what made sense to them, and I can go from there. If it didn't make sense, I can feel my way into another explanation and try that out next time. I can get feedback from the audience because I may not have much brain, but I'm quite courageous. I'm heroic. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm here to serve my audience after all. So I'm sure they'll help me out with some feedback. Note to self, when you do ask for feedback, be very specific about what you're asking. Scale of 1 to 5, people will very often go straight for the middle one, but that's a topic for another day. My point here is we've taken Pooh from I can't explain myself well, I'm dense, I'm thick, to I can ask for help, I can upskill. It is possible for me to be clear in what I'm saying. Everyone has to start somewhere. So that, I trust, has given you something fun to think about. I'm going to be going through each one of the Pooh characters, as I said, over the next few weeks. So that'll be 7 weeks. Pooh is a lovable character. Everybody loves Pooh. Take that on board. If you are telling yourself that you are not bright enough, you're not intelligent enough, you're not eloquent enough, can you hear all these not enoughs? You have a different way of doing things. You may well be like a Pooh who may not be that clear in your thinking in terms of solutions, but you feel your way there. And yes, you're explaining things verbally, and you may need some support with that. However, it doesn't mean you can't do it. I'm going to challenge you this week. Which character in Winnie the Pooh do you relate most to? And I'm going to get you to think about it from, what are they telling themselves? Why do they appeal to me? Because the thing is, we've got bits in our brain called mirror neurons. We recognize things in others that are in us because they are mirrored. If we didn't have it in us, we wouldn't be able to see it in somebody else. So from that perspective, if one of the characters really appeals to you, there'll be an element about them that's in you. So I'm going to invite you to consider that this week. Which of the Winnie the Pooh characters do you resonate with most? And see if you can sit down and ask yourself, why? What is it about this character that I resonate with? What is them about their character? And maybe even go deeper and think about their internal scripts. What do they tell themselves? So that you can come fresh to next week or whichever week we are doing that particular character. But in the meantime, do let me know which one you're going for. Like and subscribe the channel. And then you'll find out every week that we're going live at this time.